Hello, I'm Steph from My Driver Classic, and if you tuned into the last episode, you'll know that we were down in Faye's garage because Faye owns this beautiful Riley Kestrel. And yes, we are still going to use the adjective beautiful because just because something has been mildly impaired by a bit of a collision with a deer doesn't take away any of the beauty, and we just need to, well, zhuzh it up a bit. Now, part of the zhuzhing is, of course, sorting out this front end. Now, Faye, in the last episode, we talked about how you can't buy panels for these anymore. They're just totally impossible to find. They don't make them. It's not like the humble Morris Minor where everything is still largely churned out. And you sourced this from where? This front end?
It was from around Manchester way.
Nightmare. So it's miles away from you.
Yeah.
So put it in perspective for our UK viewers, over 300 miles away from the girls. So, well, we know that I don't like to use my girls, the women, the ladies.
Hey.
And now, first of all, by the way, if you are watching this from home, this is really, it's quite light to lift.
It's all right. Yeah, it's not too
much
bad.
muscle in it. And as you have a look round, I'm going to show you a pan round now, you'll see that it has been nibbled by the old tin worm. However, not all of this is needed. So this dent in the front wing here doesn't really matter too much because, as you can see here, you can largely pull all this wing back, mostly just bring that back in, filler it, skim it, a little bit like stuff we did with the Marina. But this front section here, because that metal's been stretched and misshapen so badly, it needed a good donor piece. Now this is where this comes in. Now you'll be able to see that this unfortunately has had quite a few nibbles. And what we need to do, Faye, is today, tell us what we're going to do.
So we're going to actually take it back and have a good look at it, see what state it is, see what we can use, see what we can have a go with. At the end of the day, essentially, what we need it for is this annoying but gorgeous Love Heart grill. It's like not the easiest shape to find or get remade. So we're going to have a good look around, check out all the rows, see what we can't do, see what we can work with.
Yeah, so today's video really is cleaning up this panel. Now, this isn't the start of a restoration series with Faye, because I'm being whisked 300 miles away back up north again, and I'm going to be helping Kev with the MGC. But I felt like Faye had been hindered by a big workload and the weather and all the rest of it. And I said, do you know what? We've had a great day at the charity shops yesterday. Far too great. Lloyd's Bank are going to be on to me. And I said, right, today let's put some welly into this, move this forward, with the goal of next summer, because your goal is to get this finished by November 2025. We're going to come back and we're going to check in with Faye at periodic points when I'm down south. So I'm actually back down in May, so we might come and see you then.
Yeah.
Depends how everything goes. But yeah, let's crack on and see what we can get done today to get Faye moving again.
Hi, I'm Atty, and it's not quite my fault that the car looks like this. But when a deer comes in front of you on the A21 late at night, in pitch black, there's not much you can do, so please do be careful when you're driving kind of fast down country roads, because had that deer been any bigger than it was, it really probably would have killed us and caused a lot more damage to the car. So do be careful. So I think the plan now, the best thing we can do is to get our trusty drill and a really nice little wiring brush. It's the best way to kind of get in all the little nooks and crannies and try and get all this little tin worm out. And then we can see what situation we're in.
Now, this is one of those boring jobs that just feels like it takes forever. And essentially what we're doing is we're cleaning it all back and cutting back through and taking all the paint off this front of this panel. The real concentration of efforts will be onto the front of the panel, not so much with the wings. And the reason for that is because Matty and Faye won't be using the wings. They'll be keeping the wings that they've already got. This might seem complicated, but it all works out because the current wings that are on the car are in far better shape.
So, this isn't my first rodeo. For my 10th wedding anniversary, we spent 3 days out in -2 in the snow, stripping Wolseley 1500 back to bare metal. So I'm a bit of a dab hand with the old wire brush scenario. So anyway, here I want to get right in the corner so I can have a good look. We can see, you know, there's a bit of daylight coming through there, which isn't really your ideal situation, but let's take it back. Let's have a look and see what we can do. And so yeah, let's crack on anyway. Mask, gloves on. I'm going underwater. Right, see you in a bit.
Right, so we need to stop cackling like a pair of old witches, and we're going to give this to Matty to do. And what we're going to do is we're going to disassemble the front end, aren't we?
Yeah.
Got our gloves on, and that's a really important part actually, is things like contact dermatitis are really big. So if you're watching this and you've never worked on a car before, can I just say, gloves are such an essential barrier between you and your work surface, because if you get contact dermatitis, that's it. Because you do shoes, don't you? I'm tapping away on a keyboard and making videos. We don't have time for scabby hands.
Nah,
So
you need them more than you think.
let's lob this outside.
Yeah, come on.
Right, so we'll leave this for you, Matty. Matty's currently behind the camera at the moment. So we are going to crack on with this. Now, you've probably guessed already from that panel that's over there, is that unlike the Morris Minor, which I'm so used to, where you've got the wings that go on and then everything else that goes on, this whole front section comes off in one piece. So whilst Matty's doing that, we're going to start doing this and try and film stuff along the way as well. How's it down there, Faye?
All right. It's good that I'm 5 foot nothing.
I love that you've got the goggles on for the falling rust.
Exactly. That's it.
You're all taking those off, aren't you, with 1/2 inch?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I took mine off over here.
Yeah.
And you've got the extender on there as well.
Yeah. Luckily they're all the same.
I feel surplus to requirements because you're absolutely cracking on over there. I'm going to take off these, I need something smaller than 1/2 inch. So these, you're probably looking at these chrome pieces and you're thinking to yourself, well, why on earth are they taking those off? Because they look absolutely knackered. But the thing is, right, is there's some rubber behind here. And would you believe this rubber here is impossible to get? So we are removing this trim purely to save this rubber. So we need to come down from 1/2 inch. Let's see what else we've got. Let's try that. Try that as well. We'll see what fits, eh? Take this off. Now I think we are going to need a shot of Bulldog BDX on these because they're quite stiff, they're quite stuck on. But I mean, not to worry. Let's have a look. Right, let me go and get my can of Bulldog and we'll see what we can do. Here's the thing, with this particular car, it's never really been apart before. You can tell that quite easily because, you know, everything is as it should be, which is great because it gives you a very good starting point. But it also means that things are incredibly hard to get off because they've never been off. So you're trying to cut through everything. And my preferred lubrication for this is Bulldog BDX. Now, I'm not paid to say that, it's just through experience. And I find that it's a wee bit better than WD-40 and really justifies the cost. Who knew that a friendship made in a car park would lead to this?
It depends what you sign up for. You've got to be careful, haven't you?
So silly.
I know, funny though.
I know. Oh, do you know what? This is exactly what classic car ownership should all be about. People think it's about sitting in a deck chair looking intimidating with your shiny car. And it's not, it's about this.
And love of a head torch.
If all your friends, if Faye works in fashion, if all her friends could see her now, I'm sure they'd be like, oh, she looks gorgeous.
They all know, everyone's jealous of a good head torch. Here we go. Hey, I think we're nearly there, look.
Are we?
So I'm just holding top of the nut because otherwise we just have bloody forever spin. Do you know what I mean? We haven't got time for that.
About an hour later, the seized bolts started to come free. We had Matty working on the left and we had Faye working on the right for a bit. And before you knew it, the car was looking like an absolute treat because that front bumper was off. So Matty swapped back to doing the panel as she had been before. And Faye and I started to think, well, what are we going to do? Because Matty was so good with this that we really were surplus to requirement. So what we did was we sat down, we made a bit of a game plan. We thought, right, we're all going to work together and we'll try and get this panel targeted between the three of us to try and get through it much quicker. Well, I feel like we've been going for a few hours now and I'm not entirely sure what progress we've made because we've just spent a lot of time laughing and having a bit of fun, but you know, we're not running to an enormously tight deadline like we were with the Marina, so it's a little bit more fun, less productivity. But anyway, as you can see there, Parts of the grill are starting to come off. In the end, we kind of swapped roles really. So Matty and Faye got on with stripping the front of that. And then because it was kind of a two-person job, and then I started cleaning all the inside of here, which has gone quite well, as you can see. Now, I've swapped over, I've got the sander, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start going across the front of here, because as you can see here, there's quite a lot of rust patches, and I said I'd started to get it cleaned up, but you might be able to see there, I can't work out if that's a wee skim of filler or what's going on. So what I'm going to do is just bring all that back. But as I like to point out, and sometimes people tell me it's woke or silly, and I just think it's not, because I need my eyes and all my organs to be able to go to work. So I'll be preparing, as you should do when you do something like this, especially when you're working with paint that you don't know and stuff like that, is we've got dust mask, and it's probably not the best quality one, but something's better than nothing, and also eyewear. Now the reason that you might be like, well, why are you doing eyewear, is because it's always the case with me. If I don't put the eye goggles on, I always end up having something flick in my eye, and I don't want to ruin my eye makeup. That's a joke. No, seriously though, just put eye. You only get two eyes, don't you? So you've got to try and keep them inside your head. Let's get going with this. Gloves on, as you should, and let's see what we get. Now, I'm a bit of a premier saddo because I really love sanding stuff back, and I love finding unexpected filler and thinking, oh, what's going to be under there? Let's get going. But here's the thing, there wasn't really anything, and in fact that filler really was only a skim. There wasn't much to go at, and for those of you that work in metric, I would say it was not even 2 mil deep. It was very, very light indeed. So we started cutting back, getting right in there, P80 sandpaper, getting in there with the wire brush as well, because there's loads of little traps on these panels which you don't quite realise until you start going at it. But I got well in there, getting quite excited, and I had hoped that we would maybe uncover some mild peril, but there wasn't anything. So it was rather unspicy afternoon. We didn't really find anything, but I thought, oh, this will add a bit of drama to the video. So girls are quite lucky really. Panel is incredibly straightforward. Well, we get to the end of a rather ridiculous afternoon where we've had heaps of fun, haven't we?
Yeah, it's been a good laugh. Knackered now.
Have we actually stuck to the plan? Absolutely not. So did we get all this front end off like we'd ambitiously set out to do? No. Did we get this full panel finish? No, also no. But we've had so much fun doing it. And I think talking about where we've got to, it's really important to say as well that if you watch these videos regularly, you'll know that I'm just a glorified pen pusher by day. You're an
Another
amazing
glorified pen pusher.
Yeah, but you're doing something quite cool. You're designing shoes. Matty's behind the lens at this very moment in time, another glorified pen pusher. So you get 3 pen pushers in a garage, coming to life on a weekend and breathing life back into old metal. Now, the thing that I will say is that I know that there will be people out there that say, well, why don't you go and buy a new panel? And I think we've probably covered that off succinctly enough by saying, they just don't make them anymore. They're not out there. So you have to make good from whatever you can get. And this is the only panel that has been coming up on Facebook Marketplace, eBay, other selling sites, groups, everything for months. This is the only one. It's been like a lone wolf just drifting through. And so this is it. So you've got to work with what you've got. And actually, when we look around it, and you'll be able to see now, it isn't too bad. There are pinholes from that tin worm having a nibble. But realistically, if you look at that and you look at that marina panel that I had to repair, it's in far better shape. This will be easier to do. There are people out there that have incredible skill sets that will be able to fill in those little tiny holes, sort out those dents. And I know that some of you will have spotted as we were cleaning around this headlight that there was filler coming through. Now I will say that all the other areas that we've started to take back, there hasn't been any other filler, so it was literally just a skim round, which I think is probably, it's got pitted or something like that, because the metal feels like it's got a couple of little dents in, and there's what looks to be older pitting. And I think maybe what's happened is as happens with these AD016s, it started to show its age and someone did an afternoon repair. But it's those little repairs that get panels and cars through to today when we can put a bit more time, a bit more energy into it and make it even better. So I think it's a really great foundation for what Faye and Matthew want to achieve with the car. They aren't using the wings, as you see, because, you know, that wing is kind of a bit knackered. But what will happen is they'll come round the headlights and then down, and it'll be that front panel, and then it'll all get welded in, it'll all get blended in, and it'll be bob on. And I think that you've done really well today. This has come back and, you know, it's given you a bit of renewed vigour, a bit of enthusiasm.
I'm happy because it's alleviated a few of them like horrible worries you get back of your head. You know, I'm like, I don't want any, you know, visible rust on it, checking it all over, because you never know what you're going to get, do you? So, been all right.
Yeah, it's been
Feeling better. A bit more positive now, so.
I'll tell you what I don't feel positive for, that 300-mile drive home. But if anybody can do it, it'll be Nancy. So I'll crack on now. It's been a really fun weekend, and I've learned stuff, actually. I've been learning various bits and pieces as we go along, and techniques, and it's interesting to watch how other people work, because everything I do and everything I've learned is through Kev, so it's lovely to see other people's perspectives. And I guess I should probably say a big thank you to Kev, because without him I wouldn't have even had the confidence today to turn up. And that, my friends at home, is why it's so important to skill share, inspire people, and just let people join in with what you're doing, because if we don't encourage and we don't keep pushing people forward, skills die out, enthusiasm dies out, and then ultimately it means that our cars don't survive. So a lot to think about there. I hope you've really enjoyed the video. A lot of it has just been us cackling like the witches of Eastwick, but it's been blooming good fun. So I guess until next Sunday when we see you once again, take care and drive safely.